My name is Gabriel Seidel, and I'm with Neuroscopedia and Tim Messima on Walnut Hills. So just jump right into it. Our vision for Walnut Hills, when we started talking about what we want this plan to be and what we wanted to encompass and what the goals that come out of this plan will be, we started first with what was there in the community, and we had some interesting conversations with Kathy, the head of the neighborhood council, and really learned a lot about what was there and what needs to take place, and building off of the vision of Walnut Hills that is already there and augmenting that, figuring out where we can fill in gaps. So the themes that came out of that discussion that we kind of orbit around, we wanted to create source an identity out of the existing history, and augment that and create that into something that was strong and powerful, and something that the community can be proud of. Create a destination and create a home, a diverse and connected home. So our framework really tries to encompass that. We interpreted 4 different quadrants that were really disconnected when we went and we looked at it. So our intervention was to connect that using the McMillan and Gilbert corridors, and creating this public space that wraps through the neighborhood, each with its own kind of distinct use that served as a connection place where people could be together. People that live down here would be drawn up. They would all be drawn into this heart of the community that's right here at People's Corners. So that's where we started. And then we had some interesting conversations with Kathy that really kind of re-changed our direction. We changed our highway direction that Tim is going to talk about a little bit later, and we looked at specific areas of this neighborhood that we thought were really best suited for some good development. Out of that came tech village up here, out of that discussion. Some really interesting history behind the neighborhood that we thought was really valuable with the African American community and the underground development. It happens a little bit here. There's an arts district currently kind of clustered in this area, but because of the highway and because we thought it was kind of disconnected, we recommend that we move it down into this location that we're going to talk about a little bit later. And some of those nuanced interventions connect in a big way to this overall plan that we have, and connecting the 2 large public spaces at the top and bottom and bringing them in to the anchor in the middle. So I'll turn it over to Tim, and he'll talk about the existing conditions and
the existing conditions. I'll explain some of these diagrams. I will go over them rather quickly. These are like the land uses, and what we got from it is we wanted to reinforce, for instance, this commercial activity along the McMillan corridor and the strengths that are already present in it. If we look to vacancy, we saw that there was a lot of vacancy along the highway. We also tried to give an answer to that with the tech village, for instance. The employment centers, it's also connected to that, are also located along the highway. If I look to the external forces of Walnut Hills, it was really interesting to see. Well, I'm not from Cincinnati, and to see that Walnut Hills seems to be in the middle of everything, but also maybe a bit disconnected. If we look at it now, you have the closest of the central business district. You see the zoo, the hospital, Xavier. You have the highway that connects uptown, downtown, and the suburbs, of course. And all these main arteries that run through Walnut Hills, which we can see very much as an asset to the neighborhood. And also directly linked to the highway and all these arteries, we came up with an idea for a roundabout for the I-71 interchange right here. When I looked for the first time to the highway, for me it was just a very big mess, and I came up with a very European answer to establish a roundabout. And when we looked to the neighborhood a little bit more close, we saw that actually there is already this idea of a roundabout between Taft and McMillan, these streets that function maybe as a roundabout, and which could be very productive to really say that it is a roundabout, or that it's to really make it a roundabout, because now it might be working a bit like that, but the idea of right-of-way and everything around that could really work around this connection first of all to access the highway, but also for access for the two main corridors being Taft and Macmillan, which we also made two-way corridors, which could perfectly work with this roundabout and yeah, with the possibilities of a continuous flow around this roundabout and the corridors.
We had a lot of arguments with our union about that. Good discussion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry.
So, connecting, moving off of that, we found when we talked with Kathy that there was we had identified this kind of adopted this section of Mount Auburn right here. We found that there's a lot of hospital-related uses and a lot of growth connected to that hospital that we wanted to kind of bring into Walnut Hills. And we found through talking with Kathy that idea was actually already there. That there was interest in creating a tech village over here in this kind of vacant section where the Ford factory is, and it's really pretty underutilized. But there's some uses around the edges that connect to the community. But mainly, we thought that was a great spot where we could develop some big, large income generators. One of our goals is to bring new revenue and new diverse mixed income groups into the community. To kind of augment the diversity. So we kind of explored how that would work and how that would connect across the highway and how could be taken advantage of. And that way, our precedent. What we didn't want to do is create an office park that was segregated, that you had to drive to, that just had no connection. It was just a 9-to-5 zone. What instead we want to do is create a mixed community that was connected to both, and you can see it on our employment diagram that there's all of this zone is within a quarter mile, quarter mile, which is even better, to our main district, our main corridor of Gilbert. So we wanted to create something that was walkable and connected and mixed, so that the workers, the employees there could take advantage of the community.
Gabriel, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Can you tell me what's in a tech village? Just briefly describe some of the things that would be in there.
Office space. We didn't really want to get into design and zoning and use, particularly because that's a much more complicated discussion than I think.
Why do we call it tech village and not office park?
That was based on the community representative. She was talking about how there's already where UC stores all of its data and gets its computer facilities in that region. Fiber optics is in that region.
It's the infrastructure.
Right. So we're basing it off of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So they'd be specifically targeting technology type of uses or information technology or something.
Or biotech?
Like yeah, how about biotech? And you say housing in your residential units in your.
Because there's already housing down here, and we didn't want to lose that. And there's also green space that could be. There's not a lot of space for big high-end development.
What street is that?
Instead, we take away from
the street with the housing faces.
Melrose.
What? Oh no, it's your study area.
Melrose. It's Melrose.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
And then
keep going.
Our arts district. We found that there was already a
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay.
Go 1 and then 5.
Okay. Well, we wanted to create a district that would connect this kind of upper income section to the rest of the community and create both a market for buying arts and a cluster for creating them. And there was some big, large footprint and vacant land that we thought could really benefit the infill there. It would make it more accessible. It's on Gilbert. We can make this icon, this gem in the community that would be a weekend destination.
And another major portion is this guy.